So we're going to focus on the question, what is sleep? And if you'll notice, I have three images. I have a balloon, I have a clock, and then I have a gear shift. Now you might be saying, the clock makes sense if you're going to talk about sleep, but what does the balloon mean and what does the gear shift mean? We'll go into some details about that. Let's begin with the balloon. So when you think about a balloon is you can fill up a balloon and then also a balloon deflates. But what does that have to do with sleep? So imagine this, is you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. So when you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, your balloon is flat. So the balloon really is about sleep pressure. So you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, the balloon is flat. And as you engage in different activities throughout the day, your balloon begins to fill. So the balloon is pressurized, if you will, by sleep debt. So you become more and more sleepy. So if you engage in activities, if you do things that are challenging and stimulating, the more time that you spend, your balloon's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So when you think about a balloon, is it gets to a point where it's so big that there's a lot of pressure. So one of the things that helps you to fall asleep is to make sure is you fill up your balloon with activities or think about sleep pressure. So that way maybe it's 10 o'clock at night and you've been up from 8 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, 14 hours, you're going to have a lot of sleep pressure. But imagine this, you get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and then you try to go to sleep at 10 o'clock in the morning, so you've only been up for 2 hours. So when you wake up, your balloon is flat. So you do 8 to 9, a little bit of pressure. You do 9 to 10, a little bit of pressure. If you try to go to sleep, you can't go to sleep. Why? Not enough pressure. Imagine this. You get up at 8 o'clock in the morning today, but you don't go to sleep until 8 o'clock at night, not tonight, but the night after. So you've been up well over 24 hours. You've got a lot of sleep debt and a lot of sleep pressure. So one of the key mechanisms about why we fall asleep has to do with filling up your balloon or sleep pressure. That's one of the mechanisms. Now let's talk about the next mechanism, which is the clock. So the clock is not just the clock that you see in terms of what time it is. Each one of us has our own biological clock, or it's called a circadian rhythm. So people are kind of morning people, they're evening people, and kind of in between people. I'm a morning person. So I'm up and ready to go about 5 o'clock in the morning, but by 8 o'clock at night, I'm not any good to anybody. So I'm sleepy, I'm tired, I'm a little bit cranky, a little bit irritable. My wife's a little bit different. So she, ideally, if she didn't have to go to work, she would get up at 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, but she doesn't go to bed until like 12 or 1 o'clock. Her clock is different from mine. Here's the thing. The research is very clear. We really can't control our clock. We're born with this clock. It's genetic. There's actually something that was called a clock gene that was found, and 2 scientists won a Nobel Prize for the clock gene. So how does this have to do with sleep? So remember, I'm a morning person. So as a morning person, is as soon as it begins to get dark, I've been up a long time, when it begins to get dark, then I begin to get a little bit sleepy. Yep. Whereas for other people that are more evening people, they get a little bit more stimulated. So those first 2 mechanisms of sleep are critical. So one is you need to accumulate sleep pressure. So be busy, 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 busy. Yep, and as your balloon increases sleep pressure, sleep debt, you're more apt to fall asleep. And you also have to pick the right time for you to wake up, as well as the right time for you to fall asleep. And there's a third mechanism, and that's the gear shift. So what is the gear shift? So the gear shift is, imagine you've been up for 16 hours, had a busy day, had a stressful day. Maybe you're worried about something. Maybe you're anxious about tomorrow. And then you jump in the bed. So your mind is racing. You haven't quite wound down. You're thinking about tomorrow. Are you going to fall asleep? No. Why? Because you are hyper aroused. So what you have to do is allow yourself to shift gears. So you got to go from drive to neutral. And that's that downshifting to neutral. So when you're neutral, you're more relaxed, you're more grounded, you're more centered, you're more calm. So when you think about how is it that we fall asleep, three mechanisms: the balloon, sleep pressure; the clock, how you're wired and timing, light and dark; and the last one is you have to have a daily ritual, a nightly ritual, to enable you to downshift from being aroused, being anxious, being worried, being fully active, to a bit more calm and centered and grounded. And to sum it up is, think about this question: how would you put this toddler to sleep? So imagine this. Imagine her bedtime is 7 o'clock at night. So are you going to take this toddler who's running around 105 miles an hour and then take the toddler and then put her in bed and expect her to go to sleep in 5 minutes? No, that toddler is not going to sleep in 5 minutes. So what do you have to do? So maybe an hour before, you may have a wind down ritual. So that's the gear. What you may have also done too is prevented this toddler from taking a nap. Because if the toddler took the nap, what would happen is, remember, you got the rising balloon with activity, but if the toddler takes a nap, balloon goes down. So you want to make sure she doesn't take a nap too close to bedtime. And you'd also want to do what in the bedroom? Turn off the lights and maybe turn down some sounds to make it dark, to trigger that clock. So if you really think about it, is the takeaway for you is this, is if you want to be able to sleep like a baby, then put yourself to sleep like a toddler.